Hey everybody, John Clark here back for another YouTube Live. It's a live Q&A. Come and ask me anything. I did this impromptu last week. Didn't give you guys any notice, and yet we still had a bunch of people that showed up, which I really appreciate. So we're just going to get right into it. If you have a question, all you have to do is in the comment section, type question and then a colon, and then put your question, just so I know it's a question and not a comment. So basically, that's what I'm here for. I will be here for, 30, 40 minutes or so in time to answer hopefully most, if not all, the questions that we have for today. So whenever you're ready, let me know your question, and I will bring them up one by one and start answering. So we did this last week, and we covered a lot of ground. We had a lot of questions that were centered around marketing in some capacity, a lot of digital marketing questions, Google Ads, SEO. We also talked a lot about setting your fees, common dialogue for lots of therapists. So I think that was a pretty helpful conversation. Also, if you're here, let me know if you can see and hear me okay. I feel like my video is a little laggy. I'm using an external camera here. So maybe let me know in the comments how that looks to you guys. Otherwise, like I said, I'm here and I'm ready for your questions. So go ahead and leave your question in the comments section, and I'll bring them up one by one. So quick kind of introduction for those of you who don't know me or maybe weren't here before. All right, got some people coming. Thank you, Maria and Joe. Appreciate that. So those of you who don't know me, my name is John Clark. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm an LPC and an LPCC in California. And I live in San Francisco currently. I've started my first practice here in 2013. Learned a lot of things the hard way and found that I actually like business a lot. I like it more than most people like it, or most therapists like it. And I really leaned into that and enjoyed it quite a bit. So I started teaching other therapists what I knew. At first, I was just teaching friends for free, and then I was teaching friends for the price of a beer. And then I was doing it for free again in groups in the Noe Valley Library, public library here. And then I started charging for it. That was 2013, 14-ish. Fast forward these years later, Private Practice Workshop, my company, has now helped thousands of therapists through both our free platforms like YouTube, podcast. We have a podcast. If you're interested, just search for Private Practice Workshop on iTunes or Spotify. Through our email list and through our paid programs, we've helped thousands of therapists. So this is what I do full time now. I also run a small group practice here in San Francisco called Calm Again Counseling. So anyway, I'm here to help you guys out in your practice. And here we go. We've got tons of questions. Let's just get into it. Tiffany says, what are some things to consider when wanting to expand your private practice? Yeah, it all depends on what you mean by expand, right? So when therapists get full, there's a handful of things that they usually think about doing. And I'll just walk through a couple ideas when you are thinking about scaling your practice. There's a few ways to scale. The least scalable method is one-to-one therapy, right? That method doesn't scale. You can't duplicate yourself. You reach a point where you're maxing out. You've still got the phone ringing, but you're full, right? Maybe you raise your fees at that point, simple supply and demand kind of thing there. You raise your fees. But the next scalable thing to expand your practice would be groups, right? Doing group therapy. So let's say you have a really effective way of helping people with anger management. Maybe you go from one-to-one to one-to groups, one to a few, right? You start running groups, and when you're running groups, you're starting to make 2, 3, or even 4x your individual therapy fee. So you've upped your hourly rate, you're helping more people at once, and it's a more scalable model. Now from there, you have kind of a fork in the road. Do you want to grow into a group practice, which is what a lot of folks will do? Or do you want to grow through online programs? Let's say you're really good at, again, anger management, and you want to create a membership site for anger management where people pay $179 to be part of your membership, go through your curriculum, you do live Q&As for your community, or you have you take your anger management method and put it into an online course, you scale it that way. Maybe you want to build your own YouTube channel and grow it like this and monetize it as well. You can make money on the YouTube ads that are run on your channel by YouTube. You can make money on affiliate links. You can make money by, again, using YouTube to fill your own programs. We kind of do all of the above. Otherwise, you can become a group practice. When you're considering what to do next, you really need to go back to your mission, vision, and values. If you don't already have these, you need to figure them out and write them down. You should expand based on your vision. What kind of lifestyle do you want? How much money do you want to make? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? If you are becoming a group practice owner, make sure to watch all of my warning videos about group practice ownership on this channel, because a lot of people get into it and they regret it later. If you're going to be a group practice owner, you have to really enjoy being a manager and really be a good manager. So if you don't enjoy managing and supervising people, you'll probably hate being a group practice owner. So the point is, there's a lot of different ways to scale. So don't just get stuck on that one option. Maria, any advice for those transitioning slowly into private practice while still working full-time? Yeah, I really like this method, to be honest, because this is how I did it originally. I was working full-time at an agency and then slowly grew my practice here. And it's a great method because it takes the pressure off of you, right? And also, if you have the income and the benefits from the agency or wherever you work full-time, then yeah, you can really make that transition slow and steady and comfortable. Get your systems in place with your practice. Make sure you have a good EHR. Make sure you have a HIPAA compliant phone number. Make sure that you have either a bookkeeping software and or a bookkeeper. Get all the pieces in place before you go full-time in private practice so you don't regret it later and you're not scrambling. The biggest thing is you want to make sure your marketing is really dialed in before you leave your full-time job. So maybe you got 10 clients now, but are you keeping the phone ringing every single week so you can stay full moving forward? That part is huge. A lot of therapists will go, yeah, I've got 10 or 15 clients. I think I can be full-time private practice, and then their marketing sucks. They make the transition and they're scrambling to get full or to stay full. So at some point you'll reach that tipping point. The boat will be close enough to the dock, as they say, and you'll just make that jump. Now, how are you going to make that jump comfortably? You're going to build cash reserves. One cash reserve on the business side, one cash reserve on the personal finance side. You should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses, including your rent, bills, utilities, health insurance, if you're going to be paying for that, things like that. So always have a cash reserve on both sides, the business side and the personal side. That cash reserve is going to ensure that any stuff that hits the fan, in your first, year of private practice is going to not be a big deal because you got that reserve. So start building that now. Yeah, it's a really good question. Okay, let's go to a contraflow channel. And I forgot your name. You were here last week. Remind me of your name. And I promise I'll remember it this time. She says, following one of your YouTube videos on online courses, I'm creating an online course. That's great. As I work with teens, how can I make it more interactive? For example, software. Also, what does plug and play mean? Yeah, this is a good question. And I'm really glad that you're doing this. I think online course creation, membership sites, etc., is kind of the future of our industry, for better or worse. I think, just to put it out there, there's going to be a massive supply and demand issue. Mental health is the next crisis of our generation. It already is a crisis. COVID has accelerated that. And we're going to have a real supply and demand issue where there's more people who need therapy than there are therapists. So that means we need to be able to create scalable methods fast. And an online course is a great option, great example. So how do you make it more interactive? Well, I would have the minimum amount of content in the course needed, but have it be a very interactive course. So for instance, like maybe for your teens, you have a real simple 5-step approach for teens. Something like that, like dealing with anxiety, relationships, family, school, whatever it is, reducing their stress. Maybe there's a mindfulness module. Create really simple and flexible modules and make it more about the interaction itself. So build community within your course. You can do, groups within your course. You can do live coaching, etc. Really, the sky is the limit. But you want to make sure that you have a way for people to interact with you and potentially with each other, depending on if all your clients or your course members are going to be in the same state. That's important. I'm going to switch my camera here real quick. Is the camera lagging, or does it seem okay to you guys? If it seems okay, that's fine. But otherwise, thinking about switching back to my other one. In terms of software, we really love Kajabi. I mean, that's the main one that we promote. You can see we got a bunch of Kajabi videos on this channel. We also have a promotion where if you sign up with our Kajabi link, you get all of my my online course launch materials, like my funnels, email copy, landing pages. So definitely sign up using our link if you want to do that. You can also just go to privatepracticeworkshop.com/Kajabi to try Kajabi. They have a really good membership site option there in their products. Deanna, that's right. Thanks, Deanna. Thanks for the reminder. She says, my other question was, what is the best way to set up online bookings that you would recommend? So here's the thing. If you already use an EHR like Simple Practice or Therapy Notes or something, I know that at least Simple Practice has a booking, like a calendar widget where you can embed that directly on your site. If you can do it with something that's integrated with your EHR, that's ideal, right? You don't want to introduce a third-party software unless you have to. So if you have Simple Practice or something like that, use that and just embed the calendar widget on your site. Otherwise, our favorite scheduling widget is Calendly. I'll type it here in the chat. Calendly. Hard to say. That's what we use for all of our scheduling, and it'll sync with your calendar. You can do different event types, different links of consultations, or you can even use a link for your clients to book appointments or whatever. But again, you need to have systems that are good and solid and systems that would scale with you. So don't be afraid to invest in the right software for the job. Like, have the right tool for the job. Don't be piecemealing it together, even if you're new, even if it's early on. Yeah. All right, next question. I'm not going to try to pronounce your username. This person says, I'm noticing some therapists are venturing into offering multi-state virtual therapy as a form of group practice. It appears they're not licensed in a particular state, but may hire a therapist. How would this be possible? Well, yeah, you're right. A lot of people are doing this. The way they're doing it is, even if they're not licensed in that state, they are registering as an employer in that state. So I'm in California, but let's say if I want to hire a therapist in New York State, then I'm going to set myself up as an employer in New York State, even though, let's say, my LLC or my S Corp is going to remain in the state where I actually live. So what I would do is, so for instance, with PPW, with my business here, my LLC is set up in North Carolina where I used to live, but I'm a registered California employer, right? So I can have employees and I can employ myself here in California. So that's how they're doing it. Now you have to be careful with licensure boards, right? Because some licensure boards won't be too happy about that, or they might say, in order to be a New York employer of a mental health practice, you need to be licensed in New York. I don't know. They're pretty strict on that. So people are doing it. People are bending all sorts of rules. It just kind of depends. Okay, I think I answered that one. Just going back real quick here, make sure I got the other questions. All right, Maria says, what can I do for when a client comes to an appointment and she doesn't come anymore? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Maria, that people are going to come and go. That's a natural part of your practice. The modal number of counseling sessions per the research is 1, meaning the number that occurs most in therapy sessions, right, or in therapy kind of longevity is 1. So, but there are some ways you can reduce that, right? It all starts with setting expectations. When you are signing up new clients to your practice, you need to be really clear with them what your expectations are, and you need to tell them that, listen, research shows that people get the best results from therapy when they attend weekly, right? I also suggest that people commit to and budget for at least 10 to 12 therapy sessions before they conclude whether it's working or not, right? You need to give them plenty of time to unpack things, to look at the history behind things, to teach them skills, have some experiences in therapy, right, and to get better. So 2 things: require weekly therapy. I suggest you only do weekly therapy. It's either weekly or not, right? They're either in or out. Combined with just be really clear and explicit with them about planning for 10 to 12 sessions minimum. And at that point, they can decide if they want to still be in therapy, or you might offer a biweekly cadence to them at that point. You have to show clients how to be good clients. Most therapists don't realize this. Okay, next question. How can we expand to California or UK the way people expand all over the US? Oh, Canada or the UK, sorry. I'm not sure why you would want to be honest. The US is just such a massive market. I would say if you're licensed in one state, the next step would be getting licensed in additional states and doing therapy there. I just wouldn't want to mess with having an international business unless I had to. So that's what I would say. Try to expand into other US markets before you think about going international. It's going to be a lot of headache, a lot of legalities, right? I mean, I just don't necessarily want to have that stress unless I have to, and the market in the US is massive. Now, if you move to one of those places, yeah, go set up a business there if you want, or just keep your US business, and figure it out. Yeah, I just would want to know more about why you would want to expand to those other countries. You got like one more question here so far. So if you guys got more questions, let me know so we can keep rolling. Otherwise, there's a big awkward pause coming. Just kidding. Therapists, we're experts at awkward pauses. All right, Deanna says, how long would you recommend a course to run for? I was planning for 12 weeks, but that seemed too long. So now I'm at 8 weeks. Yeah, do whatever you're comfortable with. I think between 8 and 12 is a great starting point. And also you're not going to really know until you do it. So I would say start with 8 and then later you could always do 12. You don't want to stretch it out too much if it's going to be excessive. So start with 8 and then go to 12. All right, got the next question. All right, next question. I was, I think, Abanti, hopefully I'm saying that right. I was hoping I could get your opinion on client perspectives on therapists, the MA versus PhD level. I'm in grad school right now, but not sure if I need a PhD to be successful. The short answer is unless you're going into academia or you want to do assessment or things like that, you do not need a PhD to be successful in private practice. I have a master's degree and half of a PhD that I never finished and probably won't finish because I have a low tolerance for bureaucracy and all the BS that comes with academia. The point is, I charge more in San Francisco than most PhD level therapists out here. Why? Because I'm a good therapist and I stand behind my fee. I know my value. I know my worth. That's it. So it all depends on your goals. If you just want to get into practice and start making money, then just get your master's and start working, right? Charge what you're going to charge above market, prices, get specialized, do some specialized training in terms of like CBT or EMDR or whatever, and just go for it. You'll be making a lot of money very quickly, right? And not taking on more debt unless you have to. Now, if you want the PhD just for the personal kind of reward of it, which there's some merit there, you can do that, but as a business decision, it's not going to make sense. Clients don't really care. Clients only care about one thing. Can you help me? Can you help me get better? And you need to be able to sell them a better future, right? A better life that they're looking for. They really don't care. 9 out of 10 clients don't care about your degree or your license. They don't even know what you have, to be honest. Half my clients, when they come see me for the first time, they call me doctor because they just assume we all have PhDs. They really don't know, and again, they don't care. Joe says, Joe, thanks for being here as a graduate student. That makes me happy. I really like working with you guys. He says, I'm a brand new graduate student, so I'm just starting out. I know I want to own a private practice one day. What are the things I can learn on my own now while I'm still in school? Yeah, this is great, Joe. So here's what I would do. It doesn't really matter. Like, If you know where you're going to live, great. If not, it doesn't really matter. Create a therapy brand, meaning like a therapy website. And you could call it whatever you're going to call it. It could be something generic, like Thrive Therapy or something. Create a generic brand like that. Buy the URL. I would do this all in Squarespace if I were you. So go to Squarespace, get set up with a $12 or $18 a month kind of thing. Buy a domain through Squarespace of a therapy brand that's generic and you can play around with. And then just start blogging your tail off, writing about everything you're learning. So if you learn about CBT, write about CBT. If you learn about psychodynamics, write about psychodynamics. You learn about dreams, write a blog post about dreams. Start creating content like it's your job, because it already kind of is your job as a student. You're learning so much, you're writing a ton. You could even take some of your papers and turn them into blog posts. Start creating content like crazy. Consume this YouTube channel like crazy, like make this a course, make this an elective course for yourself. Just immerse yourself in business education, because you're going to get zero of it at graduate school. This is how graduate schools are failing students now. I've already tried to help with this problem and it didn't go very well. That's why I have half of a PhD. Counseling programs didn't really want me teaching business to new therapists. So here I am teaching business to new therapists on my own. Immerse yourself in business because you are going to need it. And you should be learning it now and not later when you're already in it and you're overwhelmed and whatnot. So yeah, start your website, grow it as a blog, learn about business, sketch out a business plan, sketch out mission, vision, values, start thinking about your ideal clients, think about where you want to live, sketch out how much money you want to make. If you have debt, think about that. Just create a plan for your business and your life. You can do that now. Doesn't matter. Like, no one can stop you from doing that now. And then the second you're ready to open, hit the ground running. Open your business, get your LLC, open your bank accounts, and then take that blog traffic and start getting clients from it. If you want bonus points, use your blog traffic to create your email list. Yeah, thanks, Joe. I'm really glad you're here and getting ahead of it. Zadie says, in the future, after starting my practice, I'd like to have a virtual assistant company to provide this service to colleagues as additional income. Yeah, great. Love it. There's a handful of those out there, but there's definitely a market for more. Do you have any input or resources how to start this as far as how to make it HIPAA compliant? Yeah, it's not hard to do. That's not going to be the hard thing. The harder thing will be marketing the service and scaling it and having systems in place and hiring good VAs that don't leave and leave your clients with, a phone that's ringing and no one's answering. So systems and processes are going to be the name of the game. I used to own a business just like this, a virtual assistant business for therapists called Therapy Desk. In terms of the HIPAA piece, it's not a big deal. You're just going to have them sign, have your VAs sign basically a business associates agreement is what it's called. And that's going to basically say that they understand that they're working under HIPAA and everything needs to be compliant. So yeah, that's all you need for them. Yeah, that won't be too hard. All right, another question back to Sai. Maybe that's how we say your name. Who knows? Do you think certificates or degrees in education, human sexuality, etc., actually help if you're new to private practice? It depends on if you're in an urban area or not. If you're in an urban area, people look for more niche, therapists. If not, you just need enough training to feel competent. That's the thing. Is like, I'm very comfortable with CBT because I did enough CBT trainings. Not because I got certified in CBT and paid $7,000 for the certification and all that stuff. I don't personally need that to call myself like a cognitive therapist, right? Or to do CBT. So you just need enough certification to feel confident and to stand by your fees and to get your clients results. So I would get maybe 1 or 2 extra certifications or training within your first couple years of private practice. I did that with CBT and it really helped. I also got, the EMDR training because I think it's a good, solid skill to have with trauma. So pick 1 or 2, but don't go nuts because you're going to spend way too much money early on, especially when you get out of graduate school and you're already behind, financially. Tim, thanks for being here. I'm not going to try to say your last name, but I like how it looks. Impact of therapy and being in the public domain. I have a website, YouTube, etc. Trainee, doctor, counseling, psychology here. Graduating in a few months and wondering how YouTube presence impacts. Okay, I think I understand your question as best I can. Impact of therapy and being in the public domain. Well, Here's the thing, and I don't know how this is all going to shake out, to be honest. Here I am on YouTube, and I'm a therapist, and I have my own therapy clients, right? So there have been therapy clients who have found my YouTube, and I have this YouTube. I also have a YouTube for my practice, Calm Again Counseling, that you guys can check out and subscribe to if you want. Um, the thing is, like, um, uh, yeah, I don't know how it's all going to shake out, but if you just have a nice, consistent professional presence online, I don't think that's ever going to hurt you, right? If you have things like if you have a YouTube and you keep it professional, you don't curse a lot, you don't reveal a lot of personal stuff, but you just come on here and provide education and value in the mental health space, that's only going to help, right? And the thing is, like, I think in 3, 4, 5 years, every therapist will have a YouTube channel and be doing stuff just like this. Q&As and lives and all sorts of stuff, courses. So I'd rather be ahead of that curve than behind it. Okay, we got a real technical question here from Sarah saying, would you rather own your own mountain or your own lake, and why? Okay, this is a great question. And a tough one. It's kind of unfair because obviously I'd like both. Here's the thing. I love mountains. I love living in mountains. I'm from Virginia. And I would like to say I like both because I grew up near an area called Smith Mountain Lake. Mountain Lake, put those two words together because it's basically a mountainous area with a lake, a man-made lake in between these mountains, and it kind of weaves in and out. It's a massive lake. So I'd like to have both if I could, but let me think about it. I think I'd have to own a mountain. I have a weird thing with, like, I feel more safe when I'm in mountains, and I don't like living in really flat areas. It really freaks me out. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm exposed or something. So I like mountains. I like hills. When I'm navigating places, even like San Francisco, I know where I am in part based on the hills or like the hill that I'm on. I don't always know the street, but I know, like, oh, okay, once I go over this hill and turn right, I'm there. So I like use hills to orient myself. Wonder what your answer would be, Sarah. Let me know in the comments. Dominique says, how long would it take you to build your own boat if there was some kind of aquatic emergency brewing? I'd like to think I could build one pretty quickly. I used to build houses for a nonprofit for many, many years, every summer for like 16, 17 years. So I think I could build one pretty fast. Ideally, if I had like a vessel of some sort, even like a massive, like maybe some of those big jugs, those big like chemical looking jugs to use on the bottom, and then I would just build a frame on top really quickly. So if I had materials like that, like plastic, like some vessels, that would really go further. Otherwise, if I'm just starting with wood, I'm pretty screwed. It's going to be like Noah's Ark. It's going to take me a while. Oh, that's funny. Maria, she says, signing up for insurance panels, worth it for bringing in a steady flow of clients? This is a fun one. Yeah, I've been answering this question for years now. Here's the thing. Go back to your vision, your bigger term vision. Do you want to be on insurance panels for 5, 10, 15 years? Then great, get on insurance panels. Do not do it as a substitute for good marketing. If you want to be a cash pay practice, which is in general what I recommend for most people, especially if you're in more urban areas, then don't get on insurance panels. Most people don't even understand. You have some of these insurance panels have like a cooling off period, almost like a divorce, where if you decide to get off an insurance panel, they require you to stay on it for like 90 days, right? So for those 90 days, you're still having to accept it. I've just heard a lot of rough stories and people trying to get off insurance panels. So yeah, if it's a long-term decision, get on it. But otherwise, I'd like to see you bet on yourself, especially, Maria, if you're working for full time, you have time to market yourself. You have time to have a great website, run some Google ads, build up your SEO, build up your email list. You should be able to market yourself on your own. And I don't like insurance as a marketing technique. Here's the other thing too. What happens when it gets saturated overnight? Like, and I used to live in Charlotte and have a practice there, and everyone's like, well, Blue Cross Blue Shield is where it's at. You get tons of clients from there. And then guess what? A few hundred extra therapists sign up for that panel, and it's oversaturated, and that referral stream is dried up, and it's completely out of your control. So I'm weird in that I like to have control of my marketing and my referral streams. Yeah. It's a good question though, Maria. So yeah, hopefully that helped. Okay, Deanna's asking an interesting, a clinical question. What happens when a client asks personal questions? What are the best ways to handle it? I find bringing it back to them can feel quite dismissive. Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because I made a video about this on our Calm Again Counseling channel. I'm going to look it up really quick because I wanted to explain to therapy clients why we don't say much about ourselves. Let me put a link here to this. You guys check this out and definitely subscribe to that channel for me. We're trying to grow that fast. I like to comment on my own channel. You'll see that. It's really dumb. You should bring it back to them at some point, only after you've made the disclosure, and you should only make the disclosure if it's going to further their therapeutic work. You also just have to feel it out. For some clients, they can handle the disclosure. For some of them, it'll turn the tables and it'll become very much about you, right? So you just have to know the client. It comes with just a lot of experience and years of working with clients to know how much can I really give here versus how much do I need to withhold. I think it is dismissive and insulting when the client is like, hey, are you married? And you're like, it sounds like you're thinking about marriage. Tell me more about what's coming up for you. It's like, no, don't bullshit your client. It's like, are you married? Yeah, I am married. What made you ask? Or what got you curious about that? So you could do something like that. You just need to be genuine, be human. You know, therapy clients, therapy consumers are getting more savvy by the day. So they know a lot about therapy. They know about self-disclosure. They know about projection and transference. They're getting more savvy. So I try to be pretty real with my clients, but that took me years to develop. And when I was a new therapist, there's no way I would be that forthright because I was just more cautious. And I was a little more, hesitant. Sai says, what specific mistakes have you seen other professionals make that you think were easily avoidable? First one would be not leaning into the business side and learning marketing, learning how business works, learn about cash flow, profit and loss statements, basic stuff like that. So I'd say not leaning into the business side would be a huge mistake. Charging too little is a huge mistake. Being too generous is a huge mistake. Most therapists set their fees. They just sit down, they look to their right at the neighbor next door, they look to their left at the neighbor next door, and they charge $10 more or $10 less than their neighbors. Keep in mind, if everyone does this, then how are we setting our fees? What are we setting our fees based on? Just randomness, just at will, right? It's like just a whim. Hey, X amount sounds good, or I think I can get away with charging 95 or 195 or 295 or 395, so I'm gonna do that. You need to base your fees on your business plan, your income goals, your personal financial situation, right? I think every therapist deserves a chance to help people and get wealthy, and that's why I do what I do. Tim says, word counts, cut my answer short. Love your wording of professional presence. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. And it's a really good question. Let's keep talking about it. So definitely come back for other Q&As and let's keep talking about it, especially as you evolve and figure it out and see how, what it's like to have more of this online presence. It's, again, something like YouTube hasn't been around long enough for us to really understand its impact on therapists. Abanti says, why do people always say they don't go into therapy if they want to make money? It seems like a well thought out practice can bring a lot of success. Yeah, it's a great question. Again, the reason I started doing this work and started this business is because in like day one of graduate school, they sat us down and told us, you can't help people and make good money. And I thought that seems like a crime, right? For the work we do, we're giving our blood, sweat, and tears. We're giving our lives to people. We are sitting and holding space for people in their deepest, darkest moments, time and time again, over and over again, 7 clients a day, their deepest, darkest kind of moments. And we're paid like crap for that. And therapists are, making minimum wage or making $30K a year in an urban area like I was when I started. out here. It's an absolute crime. So the thing is, where does this all come from? Us being undervalued. Part of it's stigmatization, right? Part of it's the shame around therapy, which I think is shifting. Part of it's insurance companies. They decided a long time ago what we're worth, right? So I don't know why, but my dentist can be reimbursed $418 for cleaning my teeth for 30 minutes. But I would be reimbursed, $92 for a 50-minute session. Not to mention that I have 7 years of training and 4,000 hours of pre-license experience, right? It's up to us to take it on ourselves to help people and become wealthy if that's what you want. That's what I want. It's up to us. We get to decide what happens with our industry. And the thing is, actually, by promoting the value of therapy, we actually reduce stigmatization, right? So they go hand in hand. Charging more is actually a way of advancing our field and reducing stigmatization and just making therapy more legit and normal. Tiffany says, are you able to hire provisionally licensed counselors in a private practice setting? It all depends on your state, so I can't answer it. For instance, in California, you are, but if I'm the employer of a pre-licensed person, I have to also provide them with supervision, and I have to be credentialed to do their supervision. So check out your state requirements. All right, man, we are really rolling here. Kai says, how do you initially tell your clients who you see on Medicaid that you're moving to private practice with self-pay only? I want to bring them along, but I don't know how that could work. Well, this is going to be a tough transition for you, Kai, because a lot of them won't be able to pay, and that's just okay. You can't serve everyone and be everything for everyone. So you need to know that right off the bat. I would also just say that there's really no tricks to it other than telling them, giving them at least 30 or 60 days notice that, hey, I'll be moving to my new practice on my own, private pay only. Here's my fee. I realize that it might be hard to afford it. So if you can't afford it, I'll provide you a list of some people I trust who can keep accepting Medicaid, right? Don't fall into like charging very, very little with these clients because they're not necessarily going to be viable for helping you grow a good income in your practice. So you need to set your practice fees based on real math, based on reverse engineering your salary. So taking your salary and dividing it back down until you figure out what your fee should be. We have a video on that in our channel, so go find that. Make your business plan first, and then you'll find a way to tell these clients. Just tell them straight up and be compassionate, but don't feel obligated to keep serving them because it's probably not going to be a viable business for you. Okay, Diane says, Diana, when you up your price, how do you explain this to clients or people who previously asked for your rate? So I raise my fee at least twice a year, and I just tell clients when I'm raising it, we send out a letter that says, dear client, the fee will be raised to X on this date. It's usually about 30 days from now. If this gets in the way of you receiving therapy, let me know. I've sent that out every year I've been in therapy, in private practice, and I've only had one client ever have a problem with it. And she was the wealthiest client I've ever worked with and may or may not have had some access to stuff going on. So you just state it, right? And then when you're bringing on new clients to the practice, you tell them or you show them in your your practice policies, hey, I raise my fee twice a year, so it's not a surprise. It's just not a personal thing. Okay, good question here. I'll try to see your name. Isamu says, could you just tell a quick summary of your schooling, license, and what main jobs you're now qualified for? Yeah, sure. So I have a bachelor's in psychology. I have a master's and an EDS. It's called an EDS in clinical mental health counseling. So basically 2 master's degrees in counseling and half of a PhD that doesn't do me any good, but it's a fun story. What jobs am I now qualified for? I'm qualified, licensed as an LPC or an LPCC, licensed professional clinical counselor, to do mostly psychotherapy, counseling, group therapy, some light assessment in different settings like agencies, hospitals, college counseling centers, or private practice, my favorite. And then as a consultant, I've been teaching other therapists about business since about 2013. And I got qualified from that by street smarts and growing 5 businesses over the past like 6 years. And I sold one. I've had a marketing agency. I've had a VA company. I'm now on my 3rd private practice. One was a group practice that I sold in North Carolina. I've been teaching therapists about business, this whole time. So that's kind of how I got here. Zadie says, have you encountered clients who recorded your session without consent? How is this handled in person or telehealth? Oh, that's interesting. I've never had this happen. I don't know what I would say. I mean, on one hand, I don't think I'd have a big problem with it if they just want to like look back at what happened in the session or remember things I said, etc. Might not have a big problem with it. In fact, especially on telehealth, they might be recording and I might not know about it, or they could have some other software set up. So I'm not sure if you could prevent it. However, if clients are doing it behind your back and then you find out, I would just have a conversation. Hey, it sounds like you want to record the sessions. Let me know like how that would help, or what's your thoughts behind that? And just try to be open. Abanti, thank you so much. That she says these Q&As are so helpful as a grad student hoping to get into private practice. Thank you for that. That means a lot to me. And I want to just say that I was in your shoes once, and there wasn't much help for me to start planning for private practice. I just had to figure it out. A lot of long nights and really not many mentors to help me learn business. So I got really good at the clinical stuff, but then was really scared and overwhelmed with the business stuff back in the day. So you're getting ahead of the curve by doing this, and I really appreciate you being here. Definitely bring your grad school friends. Yeah. I do like 1 or 2 questions, and then I'm going to go eat a burrito and probably take a nap on my therapy couch here before I have some clients of my own. All right. Diana's putting me to work here. She says, 5 top marketing strategies, please. Also, is doing Google Ads very expensive? I'll answer the second one first. And of course, Google Ads is part of my top 5. That's probably my top 2. She says, is doing Google Ads expensive? It's expensive if you have a crappy website and terrible copy on your pages and you don't know how to convert once you get people on the phone. It can be very expensive. It can also be expensive if you don't know how to calculate cost per client or cost per acquisition. Let's say, for instance, that I spend $300 this month on ads. Let me write this, do some calculations. Let's say I have spent $300 this month on ads, and that results in 10 calls. That's $30 per call. And that results in, let's say, 5 clients. Let's say I convert half of those. So 300 divided by 5, that's $60 for a client acquisition, $60 per new client. Let's say even if my fee was $60, which by God, I hope it's not $60 for you guys. But let's say it was $60. They came for that first session, and a lot of people are going to come back. They come back the next week and the next week and the next week, right? And then all of a sudden they've been here for 6 years. The lifetime value of a customer in my business is tremendous. Hundreds, usually thousands of dollars. Let's say it's $2,000 for this client. Or let's say they come and my fee is $120. Well, I've made a 2x ROI in that first session by charging them $120, and it cost me $60 to acquire them. So it's actually, I think, kind of hard it's hard to not be profitable with Google Ads, to be honest. Top 5 marketing strategies. I'm going to answer Kai's question within this. She's asking, do you have an active Instagram to showcase your private practice, or do you suggest it? The short answer is no. The reason is clients don't go to Instagram to find their next therapist. They go, guess where? To Google. So I'm obsessed with Google when it comes to marketing my local business. I'm just going to focus on Google and basically pretend that everything else doesn't exist. You can see in our YouTube channel here, I've got lots of marketing videos. There's one about kind of my marketing roadmap. That video is going to show you my top 5, basically. It's also going to roughly show you our fully booked process that we teach in our fully booked program, which is our flagship course. It's a lifetime training program. I'm going to put that link here if you guys are interested in fully booked. That's a program where I'm going to teach you my top 5 marketing strategies. I'm going to teach you them in sequence. I'm going to show you how to do it. I've got tools, plug and play templates. We do live Q&A every 2 weeks in that program. You get to work with me a lot on a more consistent basis, me and my team. It's a really, really powerful program. So Instagram, social media is nowhere to be found in that program because, again, their clients don't go to Instagram to find their next therapist. So for most therapists, it's an utter waste of time. Also, what happens when Instagram's super popular and you spend 3 years building up to, 2,000 followers or 5,000 followers, and then all of a sudden TikTok comes and takes over? Well, where's your business now? Where's your marketing now? That happens. It's happening right now. And it's going to keep happening. So it's a moving target. I don't like to play around on rented real estate. I like to have a really solid website, lots of traffic, both paid and organic, and I like to have a good email list to tie it all together. That's effectively my marketing strategy. So there you go. The big secret is out. That's it, guys. I think that's all I have time for. And like I said, I can eat some lunch and take a break here. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I will, of course, do this again. I'll look at my calendar here real quick and see if I can do it next week. Can't do it in this slot, but maybe another slot. I will make a note to do it sometime next week, and you'll see the pop up here on YouTube. So make sure to keep checking YouTube so you can see when this live is announced. You can set the reminders for it and everything. So until then, again, hope this was helpful, guys. I'm really happy to help you guys. It's an honor for me. It's really this is my life's work and my mission. So I want to help you help more people and make more money. So if I'm doing that in any way, then I'm achieving my mission in life. So thanks again, guys, for this. Make sure to tell some friends about the channel. Click subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff. It really helps me grow this thing. And I look forward to seeing you very soon in the next one. So thanks again, guys. Cheers. Take care of yourselves. Bye.